preparing. It's in the preparation. It's going to take us a minute, I think, here. Just setting it up. I'll let you know when it looks like it's live.
Yeah, you just got that message.
We are live.
Okay, I didn't realize that I knew we could do it. I never knew that we actually did it. Is that a policy of City Council now?
We go live stream now with our Zoom meetings, and it started, I think, a couple of meetings ago. So,
oh, very good. Good idea. As far as names here, Dave, I don't think I've met. Jay's been on at meetings before. Anyhow, welcome everyone. So the first item of business is the review of the minutes from our last meeting, which were sent out. And as I said to Dan at the beginning, I can't find that original email. Catherine, can you pop yours up on the screen?
I don't have that ready to go, no.
Okay. Anyway, the meeting itself, as I recall, was fairly simple, straightforward. There wasn't, it was just basically updates on the different projects going on. So unless there's questions, whether I'll take a motion to approve those minutes. I'm looking for a hand or a voice. Any objections?
I think we need a mover and a seconder, so I'll be a mover.
I can second.
Thanks.
All in favor? Got to find the reactions.
Can everybody give a thumbs up or something?
Action. There we go. Got one for me. 2, 3. Anyone opposed? Okay, carried. I guess we're going to have to use those reactions so that the public can, if they're actually watching, can see how the discussion is going.
Yeah, the alternative is people can turn their video on and just raise their hand. If they want to keep their video off, then just give us the thumbs up.
Yeah, that would help. And I think that's the only action one other than for adjournment. The Blue Box transition, that's usually a Mike's, I'm guessing Spencer's going to talk about that.
Yep, I'm taking over for today. So, as everyone is aware, City of Sault Ste. Marie transitioned our Blue Box program on September 30th. So far, the transition has gone very smoothly. A couple months leading up to our transition date, we had some meetings with Circular Materials to go over the promotion education component of the transition. So they provided us with a package of material, including information for our website and our social media accounts. This also included some messaging for weather delays, holiday rescheduling, and whatnot. With GFL being our longtime contractor in the area, they continue to provide the same service to us throughout the transition that we're accustomed to. So it's definitely made the transition seamless. And we've been able to avoid some of the hurdles that other municipalities have been experiencing throughout transition. We've also been able to maintain our convenience depot at the landfill. And with this, through the transition, the city has sold our curbside recycling carts, the cardboard bins located here at the landfill, as well as the recycle bins at the landfill. So GFL has purchased all of these items from the city, and they're now using them as part of the Blue Box program. And that's all I have so far.
Okay, any question about the Blue Box program? I'm gonna put my Clean North hat on for a second. One of the calls or inquiries we get frequently at Clean North is, where does our blue box materials actually go? And the best I can tell them is that we don't know in many cases, because of the nature of the business. That, from my understanding, when GFL collects it, they essentially sell it to the highest bidder. But the stuff is separated first, and then once it leaves the GFL, they don't have any idea where it goes. So some things we may know where they go, or we can guess where they go, but is there any way of finding out definitely where they go?
Now, to answer that, anyone would have to reach out to Circular Materials Ontario, because they are contracting GFL to collect this material, and then also for their facility here in the Sioux, where everything is sorted. So everything would be shipped off to, like, Circular Materials would have purchasers throughout the province. So any kind of trail of where this material ends up would be, they would be the only ones to know. The city, we aren't involved with any part of that anymore, so we wouldn't have any of that information.
Okay, because there was a movement when we started talking about electronics, that it was discussed, but it was never actually put into legislation, that they wanted the electronics to stay in North America. And I don't know if they ever passed any legislations to ensure that. And similarly with the recyclables, that they actually stayed in Canada, hopefully, or in North America, that we weren't shipping that our garbage around the world as well. But I haven't seen any legislation about that.
I haven't seen anything specific to that, but with the province having Circular Materials take care of the operation of the Blue Box program, I believe the intent is for everything to stay here in Ontario or within Canada.
Okay, the discussion among the environmental people is that some jurisdictions allow the burning of plastics. That's how they actually get rid of it, that they're going into cogen plants or stuff like that. And they want some assurance that that is not happening. And I said, I'm not aware of any provincial legislations that restrict that from happening.
I'm not aware of any sort of processes such as that. But with the transition and it being a common collection system, Circular Materials is spearheading it for every municipality across Ontario. So everything would be ending up in the same pool and marketed from there.
Okay, no, I just wondered if there's any legislation changes that we could pass on to the public. Any other questions? Hazardous Waste Depot, I'm guessing that's Spencer as well.
I'm also taking care of that as well. So we had another very busy season at Hazardous Waste. We were open from April 18th to October 21st of this year. The last week, I guess first week of November, we just finished up some facility maintenance and closing up the building and compound for the season. So throughout the season, we shipped out a total of 4 trucks with GFL Drainol. I don't have any final volumes yet, but we had a very heavy season for motor oil collection. And then also we had another successful, this was our second season collecting cooking oil. So we diverted approximately 1,200 gallons of cooking oil, and that was through 4 pickups. We work with a contractor out of Southern Ontario for that as well.
The electronic collection is part of the same.
We collect electronics throughout the entire year here. We work with a contractor, EPRA, and we collect it throughout 12 months of the year. So we have a bin located at the landfill in the public drop-off area, and then we have a bin located at Hazardous Waste.
Any idea whether the volumes are up or down, or are they holding pretty steady?
It's been pretty steady since we've been working with this program.
Okay, anybody else have some questions? Okay, thanks, Spencer.
Thank
Oh,
you very much.
one question.
Yeah, no
Uh,
problem.
Another call we've had a couple of times at the Clean North office is about the ballast resistors. And apparently they tried to take them to the depot wouldn't accept them. And so they asked us why, and I think I've asked before, but I can't remember the rationale behind it.
So the ballasts are not collected under part of the lighting program that we work with Product Care. So we are not able to accept them.
So then the public says, what are we supposed to do with them? And they say, when they contact the city, they said, put them in the garbage. Is that the official statement then from the city?
I don't have any official statement on it. I just know that we aren't able to accept them at the hazardous waste facility, as we're not allowed to ship them out through part of the lighting program. They're very specific on the items that they do take, and we aren't able to accept those. And we're not able to accept anything containing PCBs. So I'm not aware of a process of how the public is to get to dispose of them, but we are not able to accept them under the hazardous waste program.
Okay, so I'm just trying, this would be a Ministry of the Environment issue, wouldn't it? I'm just trying to direct the public to where they get an answer to as to why we don't. And when I say we, collectively, the province.
Yeah, if you want to direct anything to the Ministry of Environment, we can answer any questions that they have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, solids. I'm guessing that's Rick.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, clear here.
Okay, good. Thanks. Yeah, the intent today is just to give you a very high level update on the status of the biosolids project, to where we're at in terms of its status and what the next steps are. So basically, we completed originally a 30% design, and subsequent to that, we did take the opportunity to take AECOM staff and some city staff to visit a few similar facilities elsewhere in Ontario. And the intent of that visit was to basically guide best practices in the design of the Sault Ste. Marie facility, and to provide the operators with a good understanding of what the operating environment is like and what the operating requirements will be in the future. So once we had our 30% design review meeting and completed those site visits, we proceeded with the design based on comments we received through those two earlier steps, and completed the 60% design submission. And the facility is designed, I think, as everybody's probably aware, is designed to accept approximately 10,000 tons of sewage sludge that is generated at our two sewage treatment plants on an annual basis. And it's also designed for approximately 5,000 tons of source separated organics, which the city is going to be required to collect beginning in 20, well, we're expecting roughly 2026. So we've got 10,000 tons of sewage sludge and 5,000 tons of source separated organics, which will be collected curbside in the future. So the composting process that will be integral to this facility is called the SG Gore bunkers, and it uses the SG Gore cover technology, where static piles of the raw material mixed with amendment. They're piled in windrows and covered with the Gore covers, and then air stockpiles through the base of the stockpile, and that air obviously helps in the composting process. The covers themselves are instrumental in terms of helping to manage odor, as well as it helps to control the moisture content and the air circulation in that process. So presently, as I mentioned, there are two separate feedstocks, the source separated organics and the sewage sludge. And the design is being completed to accommodate separate composting of those two feedstocks with limited cross-contamination. So based on the way the province evaluates diversion, the composted sewage sludge is going to be converted to a landfill cover and used as cover at the landfill. And the source separated organics will be composted separately from the sewage sludge, can be used on and it will actually contribute to the diversion numbers for the city, whereas the use of landfill cover is not regarded as diversion by the province. So we want to keep them separate so that we do get credit for generating a material that is considered a diversion product with the SSO. So the key elements in the design include the receiving building. That's the building where the raw feedstock will be received. So the trucks that contain the biosolids, as well as those trucks that have the SSO, will enter the receiving building. The doors will be closed, and then they will tip their loads within the receiving building, which will have odor control. The design also includes 8 biosolids composting bunkers. So after the raw material is mixed with an amendment, it will go into the composting bunkers, and there are several phases to the composting process in those bunkers. And then we also have 4 separate SSO or source separated organics composting bunkers. Downstream of the bunkers, we also have a compost screening, curing, and storage area. And upstream of the process, we have a raw material storage area where the bulking agent will be stored. So those are the principal components of the overall design. And again, the design is intended to treat foul air from portions of the process. And again, just to reiterate, the GORE covers themselves are intended to assist in managing odors through portions of the process. So percent design stage, which was just completed about a month ago, we did do an updated estimate for the project. The project budget based on the current 60% design is higher than what the city has available in their budget. So we're currently going through a value engineering exercise to try and bring down the project costs. So there'll be more to come on that as we proceed through the value engineering exercise. But in general, we hope to maintain sort of the project in terms of are, while at the same time bringing down the project cost to a more affordable level. So that's where we're at now. And and the intent is still to proceed to tender in fairly early 2024. But again, we are going through that value engineering exercise to try and better manage the overall project costs. Any questions?
Feel free to jump in.
Thanks, Rick, for the update.
Just one question, Rick, is there any indication that the province is going to offer funding for this?
Yeah. I mean, that's I know when the cost came in higher than expected, that was one thing that we did mention. There have been other legislation that has come into play where the province, when the province has introduced that legislation, let's use, for example, the landfill gas situation. So back in 2010, when the province identified that it was going to be a requirement, for example, Sault Ste. Marie to install an active landfill gas collection system. At that time, they did come to the table and offer some funding assistance to municipalities that were going to be saddled with that new requirement. So we've been hopeful that we would see maybe some funding come forward, given that this is being introduced by the province, that the city is now being legislatively related to collect and process source separated organics. But to date, I'm not aware of any funding that has come forward. And I'm not sure if there is any steps being taken by the city to look into that further or not. But yeah, it is. At least at this point in time, Peter, I'm not aware of any funding, but it's not. It is something that we're still hopeful that may come to fruition at some point.
Okay, so when this comes to council, I'm just trying to get some public activism here. Hopefully that in your report or in Catherine's report on this, they'll indicate that funding is an issue and indicate that the city is looking for some assistance, but then the politics can start kicking in. And because the public wants the organic separation and composting. And so it's up to the public to encourage the ministry to help with the funding of it.
At the current time, we're not aware of any funding that's been specifically directed at this type of facility. So we're managing costs internally as best we can. And if funding does come available, then certainly we would apply for it.
Okay, any other questions? Odor control. Is that Spencer or Rick?
So that's me.
Oh, that's Catherine.
We had one odor complaint since our last meeting in the summer, and it was related to the biosolids delivery. We believe the fogger was down at the time, was since repaired, and we haven't had any further calls since then. So I think we've been fairly successful this year in managing and mitigating odors in the interim while we work towards developing our biosolids treatment facility. So we continue on that path and take the public comments as they come in to mitigate any concerns.
So Catherine, when the complaints come in and they're documented in the report, do they include the wind direction or weather variables, just to see if there's a correlation between the complaint and the weather conditions?
Yeah, we document wind direction, time of complaint, and look at those variables. And there is a correlation because when the wind is directed away from the houses, I don't think the complaints are necessarily a concern at that time. But and obviously in the wintertime, for instance, because of the weather conditions, it's a different situation too than in the heat of the summer. Also, you know, if the wind's kind of the air is kind of stagnant, depending on what our concerns are at the time, that impacts everything. So yeah, that goes into how we manage things. Of course, we've worked at doing source control. So we have odor products that we use at the treatment plants now as well, prior to delivering the material, and which mimics the odor control product we use at the landfill as well.
Having been one of the complainants in the past, that we always correlated with the weather condition. But over the last 2 years, when we have similar weather conditions, we haven't been getting the odor. In other words, I'm witnessing a change that what you're doing at the landfill is actually effective. And I didn't have one whiff at all this year. So
Well,
that's good.
Good to hear. We're working hard. You know, it also depends too on where at the landfill is being filled, because depending on whether it's a high point or a low point, and that impacts things as well. But we have put a lot of effort anytime somebody calls to get down to the fine details as to what may have happened. I know one of the procedures that we've instituted is notifying the landfill when we have biosolids trucks or any special materials like grit bins, for instance, coming, and they get ready to make sure that they have, you know, staff ready to do the appropriate measures for odor mitigation when it comes in. So that was a new procedure that we started as well that seems to be helping. So there's lots of things that we've learned that are helping with the procedures for sure.
Okay, any other questions? And I guess my one continuing question, timeframes on the landfill expansion. Are we moving along at a steady rate? Are we speeding up? Are we slowing down? Keep on waiting for the announcement of the actual construction. Rick?
Do you want,
So I can
you want me to
speak.
give an update there, Kath? Yeah, so go ahead.
You're cutting out there, so we're working towards submission of the final EA document, and so that's currently in the final stages, and that will be the first step prior to being able to proceed with any expansion plans. So as you're aware, we have acquired some property west of the landfill, so AECOM's team has updated our documents to account for that to some extent where feasible. And we're just kind of doing those final changes before submission. Rick, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you've covered it. It's basically in the final innings here, Peter, for submission. We're just in the midst of arranging a meeting with the ministry to talk about the final submission and the specific requirements related to that. So we'll be meeting with the ministry hopefully within the next few weeks here, together with the city, talk about what the specific requirements are for the submission, and then we anticipate a late 2023 or early 2024 formal submission date to the ministry.
Okay, I'm reminded that I think it was 20 years ago we said there was a 10-year life expectancy. And I know we're down to five, I think is the last figure, or 4 point something. But eventually there's the deadline that we run out of space. Okay, any other questions, concerns, comments? Okay, if not, thank you everyone, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I didn't, I think your volume cut out for me there for a second. Motion to adjourn is what you were calling for there?
Sorry?
Were you calling for a motion to adjourn?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I see one coming, a motion from David. And it's not a debatable motion anyhow.
I'll be the seconder.
Right, I got a seconder. All in favor? No objections? Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.